at frontiers I have been through, then I feel keenly how much human dignity has been lost in this century which, in our youth, we had credulously dreamed as one of freedom, as one of the federation of the world. In Britain, economist John Maynard Keynes penned his famous obituary for globalization shortly after the war ended. What an extraordinary episode in the economic progress of man that age was, which came to an end in August 1914, he wrote. In the golden age before the war, the inhabitant of London could order by telephone, sipping his morning tea in bed, the various products of the whole earth, in such quantity as he might see fit, and reasonably expect their early delivery upon his doorstep. It was an age in which the projects of militarism and imperialism, of racial and cultural rivalries, of monopolies, restrictions, and exclusion, which were to play the serpent to this paradise, were little more than the amusements of his daily newspaper. These looming threats appeared to exercise almost no influence at all on the ordinary course of his social and economic life, the internationalization of which was nearly complete in practice. Stefan Zweig and John Maynard Keynes remain among the most renowned analysts of the changes brought by the First World War. They both understood these changes in terms of the end of a golden era of globalization, during which people, goods, and capital breezed across international frontiers. But their very nostalgia for a lost world of globalism offers an important clue as to the causes of its downfall. Both men were myopic about the extent to which the freedoms they associated with globalization were the privileges of a narrow elite. It may be I was too greatly pampered, Zweig speculated. The earth had not belonged to everyone before 1914. It had, however, belonged to people like Keynes and Zweig. Zweig and Keynes traveled the world unmolested by bureaucrats before the First World War, largely because they were wealthy, highly educated, white European men. They traveled freely for business and pleasure, with no concern for their physical safety, nor did they worry about the meddlesome interference of husbands, fathers, or state authorities. In steerage, the world of yesterday looked quite different. Migrants headed toward the United States in the late 19th century were already subjected to the poking and prodding of doctors charged with excluding sick, disabled, and mentally ill migrants, along with those deemed likely to become a public charge, including most single women. Non-white migrants were categorically excluded. Millions of people in the world lived in deep poverty in regions that were denied political sovereignty and exploited economically for the benefit of Europeans and North Americans. While it was true that international trade benefited all parties in the aggregate, it exacerbated inequality between rich countries and poor countries. Likewise, within industrialized countries, globalization did not benefit everyone equally. There were clear winners and losers. Keynes frankly acknowledged all this. The bounty of globalization was not shared equally, but inequality, he claimed, had been seen as a necessary corollary to progress in the 19th century. The greater part of the population, it is true, worked hard and lived at a low standard of comfort, yet were, to all appearances, reasonably contented with this lot. This was because they believed in the prospect of social mobility. Escape was possible, he insisted.